from there, then, everybody gets the basic premise here, right? That for everyone except James's character, you were all born into one of these regions' families. Something happened that has basically caused you to be orphaned from your family and living in orphan territory. You guys have ideally basically been living in that area for quite a while, maybe making ends meet, doing like little things here and there, but you're finally getting to like the last little bits of money that you have. Or maybe you already left without enough money and the best place of work for you was the fam hands. Or in the case of James, you woke up, Harcourt rather, you woke up and you found yourself surrounded by a bunch of people, checking to make sure if you were still alive, and wondering what family you belong to and why you're not coded to have one.
Fuck so. That's all I say. Fuck so.
That's concerning. So, since
not that I'd say it out loud there, but
I mean, you might when you wake up and they're asking you what family you belong to. So this is gonna, for those of you that have been in my games before, this is gonna be from a much different perspective than you might be used to. Normally I'm not exactly like very conservative with the amount of money you get over time. But here there are going to be some limitations. There are going to be costs because you don't have a family now. So everything is looking to take money from you. Everything is looking to like kind of get you. You're basically the lowest people on the totem pole of the town. And you are also some of the least respected people in the town. So keep that in mind when you're not getting the most appropriate reactions from people. Keep in mind that you might end up in social situations that you feel like you're rolling really well, and you're only getting like reasonable or maybe less than favorable reactions. You are lower than nobody's here. Like, you are people that society like look at you and think you got kicked out of your family. You did something wrong. You're disloyal or dishonest or some sort of like bottom feeding problem that your family needed to get rid of.
You could say that.
Oh, they're in the chat. Lots of knowledges. Okay, good.
What, knowledges?
No, Charles has got his skills working. So what we're gonna do to get things kind of kicked off is, ideally, you guys have all applied to become fam hands, because it is the most lucrative method of work, and all of you have some sort of skill that you've noticed the fam hands have sort of called into needing. Namely, and they offer basically the best payout. And for some of you that might have an interest, the opportunity to sort of indirectly get back at the families who kind of thrown you out. Because, well, you do have to act honorably, according to the rules, and play the game without getting yourselves in deep shit. You are also in a situation where helping other families and helping the orphaned area does benefit everyone. Yes, indeed. Fuck those people. So, I think where we're going to start is with the person who's already been in this game before.
Who's that?
And the person who is waking up and finding themselves very confused as to why they're back in this game again.
So you mean Tom, right?
I mean Harcourt, the man who's been mysteriously time-shifted into a city he didn't want to be in the first time.
First place. Fuck this place.
And definitely doesn't want to be again. So, the last thing that you remember, James, when the last thing that Harcourt would remember is it was basically the day that that Kandor Dai had jumped into the black hole, the sphere of annihilation with the time boat. So if you remember what had happened, the time boat was thrown in, and then immediately he was like, "Wait, this is it," and he like jumps into the sphere with the right immediately after the boat goes in.
Okay, vaguely got that, but yes.
Or no, I'm sorry. He jumps in with the boat. He has the boat at the time that he jumps in. What you guys had gone there for was to throw the helmet of domination into the sphere. Yeah. So basically, you go to bed that evening, and you wake up in an entirely different place. You have that pain that's very familiar, the one you had when you first fell into that giant place in Akunsaunt. And there are people standing over you, and your arms aren't able to move, and your legs aren't able to move.
So I am physically bound?
Yes. There doesn't, as you look about the area, you seem to be in a mostly empty room. There are a few chairs around you. It almost looks like an operating room, but there's not as much like magical equipment as you'd be used to. He does not say, "This is not my beautiful wife." Is there anything you want to try before somebody comes into the room?
Where is it? Yeah, I'm gonna make an escape artist roll.
Okay.
If I can break out of whatever this is that's holding me.
That's pretty good. You will manage to like get one of your arms loose, and you're starting to get your other arm loose as a door opens, and a rather well-dressed elven man steps through and slowly walks up to your table, grabbing a chair as he comes forward. "I see you're as good as I thought you might be, considering some of the things that you're carrying with you. You don't exactly look the fighter type. You don't exactly look the instrument type. I didn't see any...
Instrument type?
Yeah, instrument type. You know...
Not musical, if that's what you mean.
Mm-hmm. You're not...
I'm also not fond of being tied up.
Mm.
So, what are you doing in my house? And where is my house?
We're not in your house. We're back home in Akunsaunt, where you were from.
Where?
Akunsaunt.
No. No. I can't be an Akunsaunt.
You are. Do you have amnesia?
No, I don't have amnesia.
We can get a cleric in here to restore your memories if that's necessary. That way maybe we can figure out what house you're from, because that's important. We need to know what house you belong to.
I'm not from any house. Don't want to be a part of your little house game either.
So you're an orphan?
If I had to be honest, yes and no.
Then how did you dispel your insignia?
I don't have one.
That's not possible. Everyone has one. You were born into a house, and then you were stamped with your house's...
No.
Yes.
No, I can't be an Akunsaunt.
I mean...
This is impossible.
You're an Akunsaunt.
No. Did I die again? Did you guys resurrect?
No, we found you alive.
Where?
Like right outside of the building. It looked as if maybe you'd fallen off of a roof somewhere or something. We thought maybe you were trying to escape and you'd fallen quite a ways, but most people wouldn't survive that kind of fall.
I did. A long time ago.
What? What do you mean a long time ago?
Quite a while ago, I fell into here. What area are we in?
You're in orphan territory, the unaligned zone.
How far is that from Zoe?
Quite a ways. Are you concerned about the Zoe? family?
No, I don't want to go anywhere near. It's the last time I was here. That's where I fell in at.
People don't just, you can't fall in. There's protective measures that would stop someone from falling into the city.
I fell in. At least that's what I remembered. And why am I in Akunsaunt again?
I couldn't tell you. I'm assuming from what you just said, you fell in somehow.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll ask you the guys then the first time I fell in. Get me out. I'll leave and we'll be good.
We literally can't get you out. In fact, if you are, like you say you are, and you fell in accidentally, if we take you to anybody and we tell them that you're from the outside and that we want to get you out...
Yeah, I know the story.
Wait.
Yes.
So then, so you're saying that, so where did you think you were before you were here?
Not here.
Like, you weren't wandering around on the mountain somewhere and you fell in? I thought that's what you said. You said last time you fell in.
Well, yeah, but that was then, this is now, and... See, I can't even... Do you know Candor?
Ooh.
No. Never mind. Alright, last time I was here, God, what the hell were their names? You know, after you get eaten, you kind of forget things.
Got eaten?
Yeah, I've been eaten. And not in a good way.
By what?
Shuggoth?
What is a shuggoth?
Don't go in the tunnels, that's all I got to say.
There's a shuggoth in the tunnels?
Yes.
I'll have to have somebody find out what a shuggoth is.
No, trust me, just don't go down there.
Like in the goblin tunnels, or in the tunnels here in the unaligned zone?
I believe it was the goblin tunnels.
Someone should probably warn the goblins.
No, that's okay. You don't have to.
I mean, if there's something that ate you, did you get eaten and that's why you lost your memories? And maybe this is all starting to come back to you. You got eaten.
No, I got eaten and then I was somewhere else. Actually, well, this seems to be my body.
This is more your body than it was your body previously.
Wait. Look away for a second, would you? Thanks. Yeah, this is me. This is 100% me.
Okay.
We're going to go with that.
I'm a little confused by what you mean.
Not as much as I am at the moment. Christoph! Carver!
He's not there.
Okay, why am I in Akunsaunt again?
We found you just outside of the building.
Outside of the building?
Yes.
Off the side. We're away from Zoe.
Yes. You're in the Famhand's office.
I'm very confused at the moment.
I imagine you would be. So, we're willing to make a deal with you. We can at least help you get situated. But we need your name. And we're going to need some ability to put you under a bit of a... We need to find a way that we can make sure you're telling the truth about what you're saying.
I have no way to prove it.
Would you consent to the use of magic to identify that you're telling the truth?
Sure, why not?
Okay. A couple of other people, upon you saying that, a couple of other people step into the room. They walk over to the table, and they begin to move the table, and with you on it.
As long as there's no needles involved here, guys, I'm pretty okay with this.
Oh, there won't be. This will be quite simple. They take you off to another room. The room is it's much, much brighter than anything you've seen. It's as if somebody has, put a mini sun on each of the walls. It's almost blinding as you're first coming into it. And then your eyes like seem to automatically adjust in a way that doesn't seem rational. Um, the brightness should, as you move into the room, like it feels like it should blind you, but the moment you move within the room, you just feel like this brightness is normal, like this level of light is okay. Um, you also find that you are no longer shackled down to the table. Um, you are freely able to move. Um, the gentleman is standing next to the door, and you are only a few feet from him. Now, as you can see, we've given you your freedom, at least within the confines of this space. You will not be able to harm me, and I will not be able to harm you, and everything you say will be the truth.
Okay.
What is your name?
Harcourt Harvest.
You have a last name?
Yeah,
There's no Harvest family here.
because I'm from here. I fell into the caldera.
Either you're a very powerful wizard,
I could probably show I am not.
or you really aren't from here.
Yeah. That's what I tried to tell them in House Zoe when I fell in last time.
Would you have any interest in working for us?
Well, since I've already played this game with House Zoe and I couldn't get out without doing something within, and getting out was near impossible, I already know I don't have a choice.
Well, we would be willing to let you have the choice, but the choice would obviously be that we let you go, and the first person that tries to detect what your family is and finds you have no magical aura of a family.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yes.
I've been through this already.
They will
I've played
either
this game.
Okay. So what we can do for you is we have a way to make it so that you won't necessarily show up when scanned, but you also won't not show up when scanned. There are a few people that, when subjected to a certain amount of magical energy, it seems to have some sort of a jarred effect on their house insignia.
Of which I have none?
Correct. But we can emulate one for you as best we can. Now, if you encounter somebody exceptionally high level, or very powerful, essentially, their magic level is quite powerful. So as not a wizard, I'm sure it's a little confusing to you. They may be able to see through what we construct, but against most people's understanding of how things work, you'll appear basically like an outsider who probably has some sort of serious magic addiction. Many people will see your aura and assume that you are regularly overcasting spells on yourself, that you secretly probably have wands stored in places, and that you are tapping yourself on a probably every few minutes, maybe every few hours basis to keep that magical energy kind of inside of your body. So it's very important that we make sure we kind of set up the ruse as well as we can. So we'll be giving you a small wand to carry along with you. It will have no charges in it, but most ether junkies tend to have extra wands on them and are hoping to get a refill as often as they can. It's very expensive, and people are used to fam hands that have a bit of a problem with ether.
Okay.
Now,
an addiction.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, before... Go ahead.
And I have to hold my small wand and practice my addiction. Got it.
I feel like you're trying to say something between the lines there, but I'd rather pretend it's not happening. So, I have a simple, very simple series of questions I want to ask you to understand what your skill set is more specifically, and maybe understand a few extra things about yourself. Are you okay with answering some more questions?
Sure. Libra, and I like long walks on the beach.
Not those kinds of questions, sir.
Oh, okay.
So, oops,
Sorry.
no problem. Get to 8 sessions, 150.
Go ahead.
There it is. I'm trying to get to the list of questions. Sorry. What would you consider some of your greatest strengths?
Some of my greatest strengths.
Yes.
Evading questions about what are my greatest strengths.
So you're particularly adept at being less than clear about things.
Most times.
Would you have any other skills? How are you in combat?
I try to avoid combat whenever possible because, I don't like to get beat up.
Are you good at evading in other ways? Like getting out... Well, we've already seen that you can break yourself free of restraints.
Yes. I have been known to hide in a shadow or two.
Excellent. What would you consider your greatest weaknesses? Or any of your weaknesses?
My greatest weakness?
Yes.
I'm weak to kryptonite.
That does not come out that way. You are in a room filled with magical energy, forcing you to be truthful.
My greatest weakness is that I'm going to have to, because I have to be honest, apparently. My greatest weakness is I'm a little self-centered.
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you for your honesty.
That's not what I wanted to say, so.
So you talked about being somewhere else and having been eaten by a Shoggoth when you were here previously.
Yes.
Do you happen to know about when on the calendar that happened?
What's today?
I'm not actually sure, and I don't have my timepiece on me. I do apologize. I can
I'll tell you what, I have a theory boiling in my head, and I hope it's not right. But if it's right, then it should be in about 2 months from now.
What happens in 2 months from now?
That's when I got eaten by the Shoggoth.
Are you a prophet?
No.
You think, though, that you may have been... The last time you were here was 2 months before now.
No.
The last time you were here was 2 months from now.
No.
I'm very confused.
The way you're talking, I think this was the last time I was here. Something in my brain seems to make me think that that day and this day are the same. I'm a little confused.
I'm gonna need somebody to check on this zone of truth when we're finished here. Normally would ask if you have any long-term goals, but...
Yes, I do.
What are your long-term goals?
Kill my uncle.
That's quite interesting. Whom is your uncle?
My mother's brother.
I've seen you've learned how to get around the zone of truth. What is the name of your uncle?
Out of game. I never gave him a name.
That's fine. So you can just say that you can tell him your name, and we can figure that out later. It's not as important.
Okay. All right. His name.
No one we know of here. Hank. And normally would ask why you were dismissed from your family, but is this maybe why you're not a fan of your uncle?
I'm not a fan of my uncle because he sold my brothers into slavery.
Where did he sell your brothers into slavery to?
He quote unquote conscripted them into the military.
Is your family from RA4? That would ring a bell to Harcourt. Harcourt knows that at the very least one of his brothers was sold to the military in RA4, which is what you had learned from like the mind meld thing that had occurred between the two of you.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
So you are from the outside. You know about
That's what I said. The what?
It is a regular thing for people who are facing issues with money or the military pounding down their door or their houses or whatever in RA4 to just kind of hand their kids over as a quick and easy way to not have them get bothered anymore for some amount of time.
Whoa. Hello.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Oh, we lose audio. I suddenly hear static too.
I hear you.
Okay. I heard you.
I hear everybody else.
I hear some static, like little static bits, but everything else sounds normal.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So that was me?
I guess.
That was freaking weird.
Okay. Well, let's get back to it. Sorry. So most likely, that is what happened to your brothers.
Yeah. Well, not that the uncle was hard for money.
Well,
he just didn't want to pay us.
Well, be that as it may, if you have an uncle that's on the outside and he sold your brothers into the military, there is some chance that in negotiations we might be able to reach out to contacts we have to get information back from the RA4 military about your family members, if you work with us adequately.
Okay. I pretty much know where they are. I've already spoken to one of them. Well, I will speak to one of them. Well, I'll be in him, actually. And not in a fun way.
The words just keep getting more confusing. And either the zone of truth is really broken, or you're very broken.
Yeah, that's what some people tell me.
So, would you consider yourself a leader or a follower then?
Neither.
Hmm.
I prefer to stand off to the side, let somebody else make the choices.
Very evasive of you. What do you feel like your biggest motivator is, then?
At the moment, escaping this caldera.
Hmm. Good luck with that. Don't actually try it, though.
Yeah.
It will probably end very poorly for you.
Yeah, mapping it was hard enough, or will be hard enough, or was hard enough.
What do you do in your spare time?
What do I do in my spare time?
Yes.
Uh,
You know, after some of the comments you said, let's not answer that question.
wonder if I'll run into Mara again.
Who?
Never mind.
How do you feel about death? You like it? You hate it? You want to be there?
Yeah, well, I've already died, brought back from the dead, and I think I died again. Not quite sure how this works.
So you'd say you're pretty comfortable with it.
No, it's a thing.
And how do you feel like you handle stressful situations? Like this, for example.
Like this. I'm calculating a way to escape this room when you're not paying attention and leaving something in your pocket that you're not expecting to find later. It's kind of a hobby of mine.
No, so that is something you also do in your spare time, is you plant objects on people.
Okay. It's not my spare time, it's more like my active time. I like to pretend to be a magician. Does that help?
Yes, actually it does. We'll have to advise some of the staff on that you are a magician.
I am. Damn good one. Or I was.
Or you will be? I'm beginning to notice that's a pattern.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
Okay. I have one last question for you, and then I will leave you in the care of some people who will explain where you'll be staying and how we'll be taking care of you. It's a very ridiculous question, but bear with me. You have to have one food every day for a fort. The fort is about 20 days' time. What one food item would you want it to be?
What one? Women are not on the table, I'm assuming.
That is not a food item.
Oh. Okay, maybe I misunderstood you. Let's go with. We'll go with potatoes.
All right. We will dismiss you into the care of Jeremy here. A young lad walks into the room. He seems probably too young to be escorting you anywhere. Like, he barely looks like he should escort himself to a room, let alone somebody who is much bigger than him and probably as skillful as you are. But for some reason, the man feels very confident in releasing you into this child's care. Give me a perception.
Okay. I don't have.
Okay, still give me a perception. You can click on it, and it should still tabulate the score accordingly.
Problem is, I blanked them all out.
Oh. Thanks.
I blanked out the skills I don't have.
Yeah, perception is one you don't really want to blank out, so you can go in and turn that back on.
All right. Didn't think about that. Back on perception. Yep, I got nothing in that.
Yep. Okay, so yeah, definitely looks like a small child. You have nothing on your person right now, so unfortunately you're not going to be able to plant anything on this guy this time around.
So I'm just wearing. What am I wearing though?
So you are now that you can actually see, you are basically in a very like loose-fitting shirt. Like, it's a shirt they have as a one-size-fits-all, and by all they mean like you could probably fit a horse in this shirt. And a pair of like pants that is too tight, almost too tight around the waist, but tight enough that it's definitely not falling anywhere.
Okay.
The young person leads you down the hallway. He seems rather quick for someone his size. Takes you to a room which specifically has a series of symbols on the door. I don't think you have any ranks in Knowledge Arcana, correct?
No.
Okay. He instructs you to place your hand in front of the door.
Okay.
When you do, he reaches down and into a different spot on the door, and for a moment, all the symbols on the door glow. He then turns away and says, with your hand, draw a symbol on the door.
Okay.
Once you do that, the door makes a clicking sound. He then instructs you to reach down and open the door.
All right.
Once you do, the door opens, and inside is a rather small room, about 10 by 10, with a bed in it, and a small end table with your stuff.
Excellent. If I break this table, will they be upset?
It is at this point your table. So long as you continue to work for us, you are not obligated to replace it until such a time as you no longer work with us.
So I can get 2 more of them? And yeah, I hold up 3 fingers and say 2 more of them.
You can have this table. If you'd like more tables as you work for us, you can purchase more tables.
So I can't get 2 more of them?
No.
Okay.
That also, I'm assuming the 3 is because you want 3 of them?
No, I want 2.
You'll have to purchase them, sir.
Okay, when I find my money. We'll see about that.
Oh, yes.
Hey, kid,
about your money.
it...
You'll find that you don't have any more on your person.
Well, it's going to make it a little hard to give you a tip then, isn't it?
Well, I've been quite well tipped. Your money...
Not by me.
Your currency is not valid here in Akunsaunt. So we had to take your currency and actually put it away somewhere. It is illegal to have currency from the outside here in Akunsaunt.
Yeah, I know. You guys make your own.
That is correct. You will, over time, gain more of it. In the meantime, we will feed you and give you space here until we can find some companions who will help you on the first task that we're going to ask of you.
Hopefully not. Okay, go ahead.
Enjoy your rest here. Dinner is... Oh, you don't get a clock, do you? We didn't know if you knew what a clock was. Are you aware of what a clock is?
A timepiece?
Yes.
I had a sundial once.
We'll find something appropriate to make sure you know what time meals are.
Okay. I just can't knock on the door and say, hey, I'm hungry?
We don't offer room service here.
I'm not coming back to this hotel.
You'll need to. This is where you're going to stay. Nowhere else is going to allow you to stay there unless you have quite a bit of money to put down for a deposit.
All right, well, then you guys are going to need to step up your game here with the room service.
You won't be getting room service, sir.
Again, I'm not coming back to this hotel.
So, the mess hall is out the door, turn right, and if you go to the end of the hallway, you should see off to your right a small sign that will instruct you on directions the rest of the way.
And the bar is?
We don't allow drinks unless you purchase them. If you want them, you'll need to travel over to House Blade. You don't have to go that far. Cantina's not very far from here. It's almost actually in the unaligned territory.
Okay.
Have a nice day.
Later.
All right, we are going to jump randomly to somebody else to conduct their interview. Three. Charles, that would be you. Or as your character is Meg.
best. How did I
Um,
get my full screen?
how do you get your full screen?
Yeah, now I'm full screen. Is this just because I'm speaking?
You can. I don't know on the mobile app.
Okay. Well, I'm ready to be interviewed. Sign me up for my interview, Mr. DeMille.
All
A
right.
cameo.
The interview process is. Oh, that is hissing randomly now. Now I'm getting the opposite problem. Let me see.
I thought maybe a snake with that. It's from me, isn't it?
I think so. It's a weird. Yeah, it's whenever I start talking, it hisses. That's a weird glitch. All right. That took care of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what that was. Oh, it's back.
Yeah.
How about that catty corn cereal?
Well, let's try to do this.
Ready for it.
I'll try to push past the fact that it's a little annoying.
You're a trooper, Steve. You're a trooper.
So you are led into, you basically arrive at the Famhands office. It is a reasonably sized place. There are people all about the building when you first come in. You're given very specific instructions to make your way down a specific hallway, around a corner, and into a room with a large glass door. When you push open the glass, when you look through the glass door, you can see on the inside there are many people seated along a wall in various chairs. Many of them look to be a wide variety of different like types of people. You notice some people with instruments slung around them. You notice some people playing around with prestidigitations on their fingers in order to kind of keep themselves busy. You notice a few people with rather large weaponry strapped to their back and glancing back and forth at each other as if they're hoping like there will be some sort of battle between the two of them. There is a person seated off to the side with a small table in front of her that she's writing some things down on and seems to be going through some little bits of parchment. When she sees you step in, she makes sure, are you here for an interview?
I am indeed here. And then I speak in whatever goblin.
Okay. Please have a seat, and someone will be out to speak to you in just a moment.
Excellent. You wouldn't happen to have a sparkling water I could drink?
Sparkling water. You know where you're at, right?
I don't know where I'm at. Well, I'm being interviewed.
Yes. So, first of all, you're in unaligned territory. Perhaps because you're I don't want to be the kind of person that makes assumptions based on people's appearances. But perhaps where you come from, it's very easy to get some nice bubbly water. Here, you're not going to get bubbly water. And if you've been spending all of your money on bubbly water, perhaps that's why you're here in the first place. If you would like something to drink, you are welcome to the fountain that is over there. And she gestures over to a small little bit of water that seems to be dripping into a small cauldron off to the side. There are small glasses that you can pick up if you wanted to get yourself something to drink. You've seen this a few times in various places. This is basically like a recycling water system. Most of these produce magical water that you can pick up freely. if you have a glass or something like that. They're often in larger areas around the area, specifically to make sure that people do have access to water. Water does flow pretty freely, but you also know that it's almost always magical water, unless you're getting it from the Stonefist family. There's nothing necessarily unhealthy about magical water, unless you were to be drinking magical water as well as, like, basically subjecting yourself to high quantities of spells. But it is what you're most likely to come across. There's not a lot of access to non-magical water in most places. In fact, non-magical water is quite pricey and does taste slightly different. You would probably know that, having been from a rather affluent family in the GPPF.
Yes. Frozen. Hold on. Can you hear me, Steve?
I can hear you. But I do see that your screen is locked up. Rotated. Your auto-rotate kicked in.
Okay, come on, kid.
Yeah, every time it auto-rotates, it will freeze up your picture for a moment.
Am I back?
I can hear you. I don't see your video yet. We can proceed with your interview. Your video will pick back up in just a moment.
All right.
After quite some time of waiting, you are eventually finally called into a small room with basically just a desk and a person seated behind the desk that looks rather uninterested in what it seems that they have to do. They just have a list of questions in front of them. They don't seem to be very worried about you seeing the list. It just seems to have... It's an empty sheet. There are no other sheets on the table except it. And they hold in their hand what looks like an ink pen, an ink pen that does not seem to have any ink. Where you're from, you would know this. The sheet of paper that's on the desk is not actually a sheet of paper. The surface is designed to read the etchings that are done by the pen, and then it will basically store it into the Magisystem grid, and will be permanently accessible by anyone in the future.
Okay. Fancy.
Yeah, it's sort of like computer technology, but at a very lesser extent. This is just a one-way input device. The first question he has for you: so why are you interested in working for the Fam Hands? Did I lose you?
Yeah, I'm switching device because my other one is frozen. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right. Please repeat your question.
Why are you interested in working for the Fam Hands?
Well, I'm seeking a life of adventure. I've got an axe to grind. I'd like to spread the word of my God. It's a complicated thing because I'm a complicated gal.
Can we try to get you back on the other device?
Yeah, I'm trying to boot the other device. How's that now?
Better. I'm still echoing though. And the hiss is back. It's like now we have both sounds. Video's reloading.
Well, yeah, so I got complex reasons for what I'm doing.
Right. Everyone's complex.
Yep.
All right. What do you think your strengths are?
Well, very outgoing personality. I pick up languages rather fast.
And what do you consider some of your weaknesses?
Well, I don't really enjoy killing things. I'm more of a healing kind of gal. And I care too much.
Oh, cares too much. God, if you knew how many times I've had to hear that.
It was either that or I work too hard.
Yes. Yeah. Did you take one of those training classes?
My family was in the public relations industry.
Oh.
My grandfather practically patented the word synergy. It's a true statement.
So your grandfather patented the word synergy.
Yeah, he worked for Steve R. Lichington and apparently set up a lot of things.
No, Steve Lichington didn't work with anybody. We send people there regularly for vacations. No one worked with him. It's all his idea. He makes it very clear in his advertising. It was my idea. That annoying tone that he makes that people seem to think is just a gimmick.
It's legal tender.
That one. Yes.
A character. Did the family stay friends, Steve?
No, when everything shifted after Gimbal disappeared, Steve Allure seemed to become a different person. Essentially, Steve Allure was no longer affected by the timeline, by the stuff that Gimbal had done in the timeline. So Steve Allure progresses down a much more evil route, as opposed to creating a style of PR that is more positive. He ends up instead turning his city into a giant death dungeon.
Wow.
The disappearance of Gimbal affects a lot of things in the timeline in a very interesting way. Because what you and Nico Stratus had been doing throughout the game had been changing a lot of key things that were happening. And the interaction of Gimbal suddenly being wiped from kind of existence itself had its effect on anybody who had not interacted with Gimbal while he had the Staff of Time at that time.
Okay.
So again, you'll know a lot about all these stories because your grandmother will have told you these stories all the time, and the way she talks about them, they feel very real. They can't be fake. But sometimes your parents will try to say, oh, there's it's your grandma just trying to make dad sound great. Nobody's ever seen dad and he disappeared, so he couldn't be that great if he just disappeared. Your parents became rather cynical, and they seemed very cynical while you were growing up about a lot of the stuff that your grandmother said. Even though, to you, again, everything seemed quite sincere.
Okay.
So, Meg, do you have any long-term goals?
What is that hissing from?
I don't know.
My long-term goals? Well,
Do we lose you, Charles?
universal magical script that replaces the current magical script that is more technically precise.
Can you repeat
I'd also
that?
I'd like to create my own universal magical script that's more precise than the current reliance on Draconic and Elven. Spread the word of my god.
So you feel that current language is inefficient?
Yes.
It's a very lofty goal, wouldn't you say?
We Gimbals strive for big things.
Now, why were you dismissed from your family?
My grandmother told me stories about my grandfather that that don't seem to jive with what's happening. And I kind of grew up idolizing him. And it kind of became a point of contention to follow in the footsteps of somebody that just disappeared.
I see. So you were very unhappy with your family's lack of acceptance of what you found to be truths.
That is correct.
I know how that is. Then you just end up being a desk clerk. Would you call yourself a leader or a follower?
Well, since I can't see very well, I'm probably better off as a follower.
Now, about how much are you expecting to make on the average day working with the fam hands?
I was just kind of doing it for the experience of it. I hadn't really thought about the pay.
Very good. No monetary. You can watch them write down no monetary expectations. What would you say is your biggest motivator then, if not necessarily money?
It's the experience of life.
Would you like to have more varied experiences, or would you like to have more, like, substantial experiences? Like, is it having a bunch of small different things, or having some rather significant things, but maybe less of them?
I don't know if large things exist in a vacuum like that. I would imagine small things just build up into a substantial thing.
Give me a perception.
Hold on, I have to boot the other one up.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe the other device was causing the hissing.
Yeah, well, so it might keep you connected in Discord and the other device, so you may want to just, like, crash the Discord on there and just use that device for only the Roll20.
Yeah, that's what I do. I have one with Roll20 on it, and I have one with Discord on it.
Okay.
Hold on. You said perception, sir?
Yeah, perception.
Come on. Huh.
Can you find it?
I got a Roll20 error saying there is no character to edit.
That's annoying.
But I could see Meg's name there, so
Let me check to make sure there's not something wrong with the character sheet.
okay.
I show it is in your journal. I'm gonna remove you and re-add you to its control. Okay.
It's there.
Try it again. There we go. Okay, so you can't see the next thing that he writes down in response to that question's answer.
Okay.
What do you do in your spare time?
Well, besides study languages, I like to meet people. We're people, know me people. I like to read religious texts.
Your own religious texts, or those also of other religions?
Well, although I mostly read ones of mine, I'm not against reading others' religious texts. You have to know what the others understand, what the others think.
Quite right. And how do you feel about death? Since you are a cleric, I'm assuming?
Oracle?
Okay. Yes.
Same thing, only blinder.
And how do you feel? How do you feel about death?
Well, it's unavoidable. Once I'm done with it, I'll be facing my God, and it will be a question if I've lived to the principles that I had sought to achieve. It will be disappointing if I don't create that magical language.
Do you feel like that's important for you before you die?
I don't necessarily know if I'll actually finish it. I'd like to start on the project.
And how well would you say you handle stressful situations?
Relatively good. For an academic type, I'm pretty laid back.
Okay. And our last question. You have to have one food every day for a fort. Roughly 20 days. What one food item would you want it to be?
Is peanut butter and jelly a thing in this world?
Yeah, it is indeed, actually. It's
Okay.
more, it would be peanut butter and jam, but yes.
Peanut butter and jam. I just went with what it is in real life.
Well, thank you, Meg. We appreciate your time. We will review this information, and we will get back to you as soon as we can find a place for you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right, let us jump
May
to...
be one of the-
Say what?
I said I'm trying to create a experience.
You cut out again.
Oh, I said I was trying to create a greeting for my God, and I was thinking, may your life be...
I heard, may your life be, and then you froze up.
experience. Okay.
May your life be very uncertain? Is that what you said?
I said joyous experiences.
Okay. All right, moving on, we are going to go to Michelle. Or, as her character is called, Galfine.
Oh boy.
You ready for questions?
About as ready as I usually am for questions.
So not at all. Excellent.
Nope.
The best way to have these questions answered.
I probably should need gummy worms while we're doing this, but whatever.
So your experience going in is very similar to Meg's experience. You wander in. You are... again, the room is quite full of people. There is the person behind the desk who, once they see you, seems to address you and motion for you to come over to the table. To come over to the table. Are you here for an interview?
Yeah.
What is your name?
Galfine.
Very good. I have you here. If you'll please take a seat over there. Is there anything you feel like you need before we get started? Or before you get started?
No.
Okay. Please have a seat, and someone will be out to get you shortly.
Alright.
Your wait, just like in the case of Meg, is quite long. But somebody does eventually call your name. However, they end up mispronouncing it as one word. Galfin? They call you in. It seems to be a rather, like, you swear this person must not have cleaned themselves or dressed themselves, at least not with any eyes that they have on their face. Their shirt seems to be, like, lopsided, like, partially, like, untucked, yet tucked into their pants. Their hair is an absolute mess. They are... Their face looks as if, like, it still has some food on the cheek. Okay, are you ready for the interview?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm a little new to this, so let me know if you miss anything. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Are you a spellcaster?
No.
Okay. 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 Do you have anything with magic on you?
No.
Okay. 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 Give me a perception. Okay. So you're a little too distracted by how like crazy this guy's hair is, to notice anything else that's going on. Why are you interested in working for the Famhands? I know it's a tough question, but I mean, are you here for the money or the magic?
I suppose I am in need of some money.
Money's important. It buys you a lot of important things. What would you say your strengths are, since they're not magic?
I can hit things pretty hard.
Do you like fighting?
Uh,
So you're indifferent to fighting.
yeah.
What would you consider your weakness, then? Or some of your weaknesses. It doesn't have to be one. Maybe you like magic?
I suppose I'm not the best at conversation.
So then I suppose it'd be very hard for you to tell me a little bit more about yourself.
I'm sure it wouldn't be too difficult.
So then do so. Tell me some more about yourself. What is Galfin like?
It's Gelfine.
I'm sorry. Galfine. Let's just move on. Let's just move on. This question's not important. Let's move on. Do you have any long-term goals?
No.
And why were you dismissed from your family?
I left.
You left. Why would you leave your family?
It's not something I really want to talk about.
Well, we gotta put it on the interview form. So we need at least some level of detail about it. They really don't let you get anywhere without at least answering the questions with some kind of clarity.
I got someone killed.
Mm.
Alright.
You caused someone to die.
That's what I said.
Would you consider yourself a leader or a follower?
Follower.
How much money are you expecting to make every day working for the Fam Hands? I can tell you it's not much, but they have a lot of magic.
Enough to at least get me by.
What do you feel like the thing that that motivates you most is? Since it's not money. You're not a conversationalist, I see. That is true.
Sorry, I'm trying to think about how to phrase this.
No problem.
What was the question again?
What do you feel your biggest motivator is? What do you feel like motivates you the most? Like, for some people it's money, for some of us it's magic, for some of us it's money.
You have a lot of examples.
I don't know what's going on in your head.
I suppose it's making sure that those who deserve to be protected are as such.
What do you like to do in your spare time?
Train.
You said praying?
Train.
Training. How do you feel about death?
Are you seriously asking me this question?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you got someone killed, so I think you're probably pretty good with death, right?
I suppose.
So you're comfortable with death. Ooh, I don't even need your answer on this one. How do you handle stressful situations?
Define a stressful situation.
I don't know, like your friend is dying and you have to do something. You fighter types, you're all the same. You can't handle this. I'm just gonna put down that you handle stressful situations badly. I'm sure we can find something very big for you to fight. Now,
Honestly, do want to punch him though. Can I punch him?
you might fail the interview if you punch him. There's one last question. You have to have one food every day for, I don't know, a fort. I hate that they use this word. What one food item would you want it to be?
Some sort of meat.
We'll have somebody get in touch with you once we've processed the answers to your questions, and we find a group that can work well with you. Preferably one that doesn't need you to say anything ever. The door is right that way. Have a day.
All right.
All right. Will it be Tom or will it be Whitney next? Tom.
Yo.
Okay. Who am I echoing on right now? Try something real quick. Okay, test.
It's probably me
Okay. Yeah.
because I keep getting static across my headset.
Oh.
It keeps killing you, so I had to unplug. I had to stop using the headset, so I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay.
Why are my monitors trying to go to sleep?
Oh, we might need to change the settings because if your Discord doesn't, even if Discord's video chatted, it doesn't detect it as like an active source. So it won't do like what Skype or like a YouTube video will and override that setting.
I mean, I could just put a YouTube video in the background and silence it.
Yeah. So, Zug, you are, you basically know where to go. You also know from how interested they seem to be when somebody actually came to you and talked to you. That this is basically just a formality. You left out of the goblin territory, and you were pretty much well set up. There were a couple of people that had sort of helped you make your way out of goblin territory safely. One of the big concerns you had when leaving is that it's real common for goblins in situations like yours to have somebody like come along right as you're about to leave the zone, leave the family area, and just to basically like get stabbed to death, like right on the outskirts of the family's region. But for you, that didn't happen. Like the fam hands seemed like they kind of knew what was going on. Somebody must have said something to somebody, and they kind of made sure you were brought to the orphan territory very quietly. They helped make sure that like there were no traces left behind. It's obvious that somebody like thinks it's very important that you not be dead and to be here in working with the fam hands.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come in, there's actually a very like, give me a perception real quick as you're coming in. There's two things you could notice here.
All right.
Very good. The first thing you notice is, like, for a moment, there's kind of a flicker of an expression of, like, familiarity with who they're looking at. When you first come in, they kind of look at you, look again, and then they remember that they need to, like, do something. They kind of wave you over to the desk. And the next thing you notice is that this room is empty. And based on the size of the room and like how this is supposed to be kind of an interview thing, you would figure there should at least be a few people in this room waiting for interviews as well. It's very weird that the room is empty. I assume that you're Zug?
Yep.
Was your trip here okay?
Yeah, it worked out.
Good. This is a pretty regular thing that has to be done. These are very straightforward questions. Try to answer them as honestly as you can. Remember, we're not as concerned with the answers in any sort of way to like judge you or to get at you. We're really just using them as a way so that we understand what's going on in your head so we can better facilitate making things work out well for you.
Sure.
Straight through the door to behind you and to your left, if you don't mind.
I head that way.
Okay. So you get inside, and there is a rather old-looking goblin's a very old-looking goblin sitting behind the desk. Give me a knowledge history if you have it. Whether or not you have that.
Well, I don't have ranks in it, but as like a wizard, I have it as like a class skill. Am I still able to?
I'll actually let you do it as a knowledge local, but yeah, that is fine.
Okay, yeah, knowledge local.
And you actually do have ranks in knowledge local. Yeah, I figure it's more knowledge local than history. Okay, so you recognize this person. This is somebody else who was caught in a very similar circumstance to you quite some time ago. You would have thought they were dead. In fact, that's mostly what the group you were working with had told you before. Like, it was one of the prime examples of a total failure of mission that, like, the people that were responsible, like, got themselves all killed, like, that nobody survived. It was, like, being made very clear to you that, like, it was an example of huge failure.
All right. Yeah, I'll give the dude a knowing smile.
He speaks to you in Goblin. It's nice to know that we didn't end up without having someone like you that we could send along with the group that we're thinking about sending you with. You kind of know the drill here. You're getting sent along with a bunch of people that we think are going to have some problems occasionally pulling the trigger. And we can't have a situation where a house really wants something done and the group that you're with doesn't necessarily do it. They seem like they have the rest of the skills we need. They just don't seem like they understand the concept of when the right time is to twist the knife.
Yeah, I'm familiar with this sort of thing.
Good. So I'm going to ask you these questions. Like she probably told you already, it's a formality. As you can see, we made sure nobody else is here to make sure you're not at any risk of somebody else maybe noticing you. We can't keep you 100% careful at all. We can't be protecting you 100% of the time, but I think here you'll kind of get to a level of anonymity, and we'll try to make sure that none of what we send you on is gonna be in territory that's gonna be problematic for you.
All right.
So, I know already why you're interested in working for the Fam Hands, but do you have any extra reasons you might be interested in working for the Fam Hands?
Yeah, I love money, I love magic.
We have that in spades. What do you consider your strengths?
Well, other than being able to pull that trigger, as you guys said, I can do that at pinpoint accuracy.
Now, this is a hard one for some people to answer, but what would you consider your weaknesses to be?
Daggers, swords, other instruments of destruction that, if someone gets close enough, can insert into me.
So you're not a big fan of a bit of the melee.
Correct. I prefer to stay at a little bit of a range.
Anything else you want to share with me about yourself personally? Maybe some feelings you might have about yourself, some thoughts about stuff from your past. Just little bits.
No, nothing.
Fair enough. That would be hilarious if he said he loved kittens right there. Do you have any long-term goals?
I mean, I love the taste of kittens.
That is true. As a goblin, kittens are quite delicious.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any long-term goals?
I mean, I plan to work my way up the organization. I plan to amass great wealth, great power. I mean, kind of standard stuff. But I'm gonna actually do it.
A little side thing about the kittens. I know why you were dismissed from your family.
Mm-hmm.
It was really sad that coup didn't go so well.
Yep.
It's really quite a mess there, and I feel like you guys would have put somebody that belonged where they should have been for at least a while.
Yeah, I have no comments on those sorts of things.
And would you consider yourself a leader or a follower?
Oh, definitely a leader, but I prefer to have an even higher leader that's more like a figurehead, easily manipulated, and several, people below me to, carry out my orders.
Yes, like a middle manager that is actually the one in charge.
Yep.
How much on average are you expecting you're going to make working with us? Realistically. To start, obviously.
I mean, doesn't matter. You guys will pay what you pay, and...
Fair. So we know for certain what your biggest motivator is, so we can just list that out here. What do you like to do in your spare time?
So, I don't like to drink, I don't like to dance, all that sort of stuff, I'll pass on. I am a huge fan of the law, constantly reading, improving my knowledge. Law, magic, just in general. Anything that can get me more money and power.
So research and study. And how do you feel about death?
Well, I would not like any death involving me, but but I absolutely do not care about any other living thing.
And how do you handle stressful situations?
Very well. I mean, I believe my history shows that.
Indeed. It was quite impressive how calm you were, even when things were falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, you have to have one food every day for a fort. What one food item would you want it to be?
Non-magical water.
Good choice. That stuff is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what. You can't have it for a fort. And he sets a small, flask down on the table. but you can have a little for the night.
Awesome.
Good luck out there. Don't let him change you.
Thanks.
All right. And that leaves us with Whitney playing Pax.
Am I putting the non-magical water on my inventory, or am I just drinking it?
If you don't want to have it tonight, like if you want to save it for your character for something more like a better occasion, you can put it on your character sheet. You are able to carry it with you.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna toss it on there for now.
Okay. Stay psychotic. All right. So, Pax.
The best for last, huh?
Indeed. Hopefully you'll ace this interview.
All I can do.
So just like the others, you have a specific time you're supposed to be there. Do you happen to arrive early or on time?
I'm always early.
Okay. There is such an amount of conversation going on. Try not to mention Satan again. I gotta stop looking at the chat. When you arrive, there's not a lot of people actually in the room. There's a handful of what look to be, at first glance, maybe younger people. Can you give me a perception? Ooh, yep, definitely younger people. You didn't realize they would hire quite such younger people here. You'd figure they'd want...
None of them are minors. I don't want there to be unfair working conditions. I'm just applying for the job.
There's a woman at a table who gestures you over to her.
Hi.
Hello. Are you here for an interview?
Yes, I am. I'm a little bit early, but, I just like being prepared.
Well, that's good. We should be able to have somebody see you very shortly. What's your name?
Pax.
It is nice to meet you, Pax. Please have a seat, and we'll have somebody call you in just a few moments.
Alrighty, thanks.
You have, of everybody, the longest wait. They see everyone here before you. They see, almost a whole nother, room full of people that comes in and then leaves. And then, even when things are empty, there's still nobody that comes out to see you. There's no one else in the room, and there's no one that's coming to see you that is called for you at all.
Just keep on waiting then.
Okay. Finally, one of the doors open. I'm looking for Pax. Is it?
That's me.
Oh. Oh, come in.
Thanks. Do you think I would be somebody else?
Our notes were not very clear on this one. I was expecting maybe somebody taller.
Oh. Well, yeah, my height doesn't usually get in the way. Don't worry about that.
What even made you interested in working for the Fam Hands?
I really like helping people build relationships, and I think Fam Hands is the perfect way to do that since we get to work amongst all the families and try and kind of smooth things over and make connections happen.
And what would you say about you makes you good enough to help build these relationships?
I mean, it's kind of my favorite thing. I'm really a people person type goblin, you know? People don't even really see me as a goblin because I was raised by elvish parents. So it's really easy for me to fit in a lot of different situations. And, you know, I try and figure out what people's motivations are and what their interests are. And, you know, just try and figure out the best way to approach a situation. And I have a lot of different kind of tactics I can use to smooth things over.
Did you say elvish parents?
Oh, sorry. Should I not bring that up in an interview? Sometimes people get a little weird about that.
No, that explains why our notes are somewhat off. It's,
I was adopted.
well, you're still an orphan, but I can understand that maybe an elven family took you in and made you feel like you were one of them.
I am. It's my family.
What would you consider one of your biggest weaknesses, or maybe you have more than one?
It's interesting. I feel like in people's interviews, they often ask about strengths first, not weaknesses.
Oh, we already asked about your strengths. You just missed the way I phrased the question.
Oh, mine is ukulele. I don't want to forget to mention that. I'm a really good ukulele player. Took note of that, right?
I did. I actually did. Yeah. I assume that means that you play music maybe a little more than just in a way that people enjoy. Maybe your music seems to have a bit of an impact on them in a very special way.
Oh, it really does. Yeah, especially if I can get just the right notes.
So again, let's get back to your weaknesses.
Well, I think sometimes I just try too hard, you know? And the best outcome for a situation. And sometimes other people would use that aren't really in line with my ethics, but they would be a faster situation to kind of deal with. So I think that can be frustrating to people. Sometimes they just want combat. I'd rather figure out a way to talk it out. I'm not a great fighter. I tend to just run away or try and trick people because I'm not. I'm more of a pacifist, but I'm also just not very strong, to be honest.
It's very important to understand your weaknesses.
I agree. I think being self-reflective is really important, especially if I'm going to be working on a team. We all have to get to know each other's strengths and weaknesses so we can support each other. Right?
Agreed. So, can you tell me a little bit more about yourself? You were previously, I'm assuming you were in Goblin territory, and then you got kicked out and moved to find this elven family.
Pretty much. I didn't fit in as well with the goblins. I don't know. I mean, I guess some of my controversial. For example, I'm a vegetarian, and that doesn't happen much among goblins. So people thought I was really weird and felt like they couldn't trust me.
You're a vegetarian goblin?
Yeah. My elvish parents are fine with it.
I imagine they would be.
Right. So even as a goblin, I just, I didn't always fit just into one category.
And I'm assuming that's part of why your family dismissed you?
Yep. But luckily I was pretty young when I got adopted still, so I don't think it affected me too much. Trauma here and there, but everybody has a little trauma, right?
Sure. Do you have any...
You talk about your trauma?
That's not for this meeting. I'm sorry.
Okay, next time maybe.
Do you have any long-term goals?
Yes.
And what are they?
Which ones? I have so many.
Just name a few that are like the top of your list.
Well, I really want to help people kind of have a better connection to each other and to nature. I'm not trying to convert people to vegetarianism, but I'd like to help them see some of the benefits of it. It can be a really great lifestyle and it's very healthy. I'm also hoping to use the fam hands to smooth out some of the issues in Akunsaunt, but that's a very long-term goal that will involve a lot of work and along the way.
I would agree. We are quite a long ways from the families being on good terms with each other.
No, but I think it's still good to have, big dreams, right?
Yes, I would say that it's very important to have big dreams. Would you consider yourself a leader or a follower?
I think I'm some of both depending on the situation. I like to be flexible. So, I kind of assess the situation and see what makes sense given that specific context. I don't know if you've heard of this concept, servant leadership, that's what I'm all about.
I'm not familiar with servant leadership. It sounds like one of those things that slaves would talk about amongst each other.
No, it's just a different approach. You go about it so, and it's a way that not you're just trying to grab power for yourself, but you're trying to help everyone get on the same page and move towards better solutions and progress. Of those that I am leading, I'm not here to dominate them.
That makes sense. Now, what kind of income are you expecting to make with the fam hands?
Oh, I don't know. Just enough to sustain myself, I guess. I'm not really after money.
And what do you feel like your biggest personal motivator is? Since not money.
I mean, for joining the fam hands?
Yes. Well, just in life in general.
I would say self-actualization.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard a goblin use that word before. Or that phrase before.
As I said, I mean, I'm kind of a mutt,
I don't think mutt is quite the right word. You're definitely rather unique.
Yes, but I mean, I self-identify as a mutt, so you can call me a mutt. It's okay.
Okay. And what do you like to do in your spare time?
Other than ukulele, you mean?
Yes.
I really like spending time at nature, so even though I'm short, I'm actually really good at climbing trees because then I can get up and kind of see what's going around and it's just kind of fun to hang out. I really like animals too. So I make friends with a lot of animals in the forest.
So you make a lot of frequent visits in the druid area with the druid or with the dryad families?
Yes. I like to go swimming.
Well, that must be rather difficult for you at times.
I mean, it's great exercise.
That's true, but it's very hard to find water that, well, is available for swimming out in these parts.
But when I climb up the trees, I'm able to see where there's water. It helps.
I'll take your word for it.
And I think that's what this interview is about, isn't it? You take all my words.
It is. It is indeed. Give me a perception again. Oh, very good. You notice that as he is writing, he in the answer to what do you do in your spare time, he first writes that you like to visit Dryad territories, and then he writes that he may need to notify Stonefist that she may be swimming in the aqueducts.
All right, what's Stonefist?
It's one of the families. They're the ones that have access to a lot of the water. What makes you...
Okay.
Oh, darn it, I hate that these things are so publicly visible. I'm just concerned. You talked about being able to climb up in the trees and find places to swim, and there's a series of aqueducts that run right along the trees. Those are not pools, right?
Oh, that's not where I don't swim there. No. Streams in some of the forest. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Now, this is an unrelated question, but how do you feel about death?
I don't like it. I mean, I know it's part of life, but I try to avoid it when possible. I mean, that's part of why I don't eat animals, because I don't want them to have to die just for me to eat them. But sad. Sometimes it's less sad than animals, actually. Depends on the person.
And how well would you say you handle stressful situations?
Pretty good, I think.
So let's assume that you had to have one food every day for a fort. What one food item would you want it to be?
Raspberries.
You have rather expensive tastes.
Easily available. No, I can pick them in the forest. What's wrong?
Have you ever made the dryads upset?
No, we get along pretty well. I love my ukulele playing.
Thank you for your time. I think I understand now.
What happens next?
We'll be reaching out to you very shortly, I'm sure, about who you'll be working with and what we're going to ask that you take care of. Normally in these cases... When we ask you in for the interview, this is really more like a formality. We intend to hire you. It's just a matter of asking these questions to identify what group of people we can kind of bring you together with that's going to function best based on your skills and your weaknesses and some of the things about you.
My parents are going to be so excited.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they're going to be very proud of you.
Thanks.
Thank you. I hope you have a good day.
You too.
Okay. So, with all this, it is a few days that end up passing when each of you has a note delivered to your homes, or in the case of Harcourt, a note is delivered to his door. You are each given a time and a location within the Famhand's office to meet up. You're told to be dressed as cleanly as possible, and to make sure that you are prepared for travel. Yep, it's the briefing room. You're gonna get debriefed, rebriefed, and briefed.
I got some traveler's outfit on. I'm ready.
All right. So this is where we're gonna stop for the night. There's a couple of things about the overall config that hopefully we can get fixed. If I learn a few things or look into a couple of other options for maybe doing some of this, so we can make things a little more easy. I'd like to be able to have everybody not have to keep muting themselves all the time to be able to keep talking. So maybe I can find a way to either find a resource that would work a little better for this, or maybe see if there's some stuff that we can use to help it.
Oh yeah, I just got a quick question.
Yeah.
So before I got here, did people describe their characters and what they looked like, or is that next session?
No, I'm gonna save that for next session. That is going to be all of you meeting each other for the first time, getting to know each other, and then getting sort of the the introduction stuff out of the way and getting assigned what your mission is going to be.
Cool.
Because of all the setup time and all the trouble, I kind of figured we wouldn't get too terribly far into this. I figured really we'd just get the interview questions, and that would give me a good way to do a base level kind of sound check with, while still being able to have have a little bit of game stuff run at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So for the record, just so some people understand what they might what they may not have ascertained from this. Essentially, as we go forward in this, you've been identified as a group that will work well together, simply because all of you fill kind of a niche that needs to be filled. And also, again, they were asking questions about strengths versus weaknesses. And I think from the interview process, it gives you a good idea of why it is they probably picked the group of you to fit together as a group. But there may still be some unanswered questions or curiosities. Those will likely be answered over time. What else was I going to say? There is now a concern from the story that Whitney just made up in answering her questions that all of the water that is going to every place from the Stonefist territory is all polluted, thanks to swimming around in some aqueducts and then playing a magical fascinate to get people to not really recall quite what happened properly and to be okay with the fact that Whitney's just eating all the raspberries off the trees.
Raspberries grow in bushes, first of all, and second of all, I'm not pooping in the water.
You're not.
No, but I will be.
I'm not inviting you along for the swim.
Wasn't asking.
Oh, how did you make it so it says your character said that instead of
at the bottom you can pick as.
Oh,
As
okay,
Whitney.
neat. Do any of you have any questions before we conclude for the evening?
I just want to know why Whitney continues to swim where other people are drinking.
Girls, I'm clean. What's the problem?
I won't support any eating either, despite what a couple of members of our party are to be implying. No, I think it went really well, Steve.
Water.
Sorry about that, Whitney.
Do what?
I said I thought it went pretty well despite all the technical glitches. It seemed like we got the early goal kind of accomplished.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. The technical glitches are kind of what I would expect. I mean, it's the first time trying to do this. There's always going to be some complications, and I really wasn't able to do some individual checking. And even if I would have, I think we still would have missed a lot of this nitty-gritty stuff that you just can't expect. Certain things you figure are going to work a certain way, and when you've done them before, and then you try them again, and they just kind of fail entirely. So, but thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
Group question.
No problem.
Yeah.
Is anybody else using a USB headphones?
Yes.
Yes.
Because mine keep getting massive static. I am actually listening to you guys on speaker, and I'm having to do push to talk for the mic now.
Ooh, static,
Yeah, I'm not having an issue.
Static on USB is really weird because that shouldn't be a thing that happens.
Yeah, it's serious. Everybody cuts out. I can't hear anything. It's really loud, and I have to disconnect every time it happens.
Wow.
All right. Well, you have cookies for me, right?
I've got boxes of them.
Excellent. So, if I come by there on Friday, perhaps we could go over. I could take a look at a few things.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. then yeah, we'll take a look at that. Hopefully it's just something else that's going on. Maybe something about the USB driver is going a little wonky, or I don't know, because that's really weird that the USB end is having a problem. Like, I would expect that from maybe like an analog, cable, because then there's all kinds of stuff. But
no, I was doing quick research. It seems to be a thing with Discord and USB headsets.
oh, great. Okay, I'll do a little bit of research then too. Maybe if you keep looking and I keep looking, we'll figure it out. Half the
Those are Girl Scout cookies. They're $5 a box.
They're the best. But Michelle, what character are you playing? What kind of character?
What do you mean by what kind of character?
What's your class?
The technical? Like,
she's a fighter with 2 archetypes.
Oh.
A
Okay.
half orc, aren't you?
Yeah, she's a half orc.
yeah.
I was just gonna say, okay, cool. Because so whatever you don't want to say, because you're a half orc, you could kind of put a grunt in there, and that could be like kind of break it up for you. You know what I mean? Serious role playing tip.
Yeah, as somebody as well with a charisma 7, that's probably not a bad idea. Like, the fact that people keep trying to talk to you might just be something that annoys the hell out of you. And that would kind of explain the interaction you had with that guy, because he's asking you all these questions, you're like, God, I just want to go train. Like, I don't want these questions. Aren't you supposed to be sending me on missions?
Wait, are Michelle and I allowed to hang out in character this weekend?
Live you're pooping in the aqueduct.
Hey,
Oh, good God.
I am a responsible environmentalist. I would not do that.
You're responsibly pooping in the aqueduct.
Gosh, you don't even know how composting works, do you?
That's exactly how composting works.
No, you don't poop in the river.
That's one of my least favorite Talking Heads songs. Pooping in the river.
Oh. I'll be singing that, Charles. Thanks.
Washing it down. Oh my God.
Man, for real, I'm just thinking about these batter fried kitten tails.
Oh.
Let's be honest, Tom. Beer batter, kitten, fried kitten tails. Why just regular batter? You know what I mean? Kitten tails would probably taste better in beer batter.
Well, if you're gonna do that, then
Probably.
you gotta smother it in Jack Daniel's sauce, right?
Oh yeah, TGI Fridays.
Yeah, they're the
Yeah,
ones who would
Jack
serve that.
Oh God.
Is there anything TGI Fridays won't deep fry and try to sell?
Ugh.
And I was at the cat
Something
cafe today,
edible?
and they do not serve cats there.
What a disappointing cafe.
Well, I'm canceling my
That's racist.
reservation.
Where are cats gonna get Jack Daniel's flavored cat chow at if they don't go to T?
I mean, probably just like the rest of us peasants will have to get it on the internet.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
The catternet, I guess, you know.
Yeah, they can't use the regular internet. They don't have fingers.
My roommate came down while Whitney was being interviewed and asked me if that was a real box of cereal, that catty corn.
Mm.
People think I've like manufactured a cereal?
Yeah, you went out and started production of it.
Yeah. I'm one for a joke, but I'm not that dedicated, guys. You know what I mean?
I don't know, Charles. Sometimes you will go a little ways out of the way for it.
It's true. I've been known to go the long route. But yeah, I think that's my new goal for my character. Giving her a goal will be to invent a magical language. She's all about languages.
That should be fun, and I like that you point out that like Draconic and Common are inefficient, considering that like a lot of what goes on in communication between the two, there's like a translation and stuff would get lost between the translation between Common and Draconic.
I'm carrying on the gimbal. I'm carrying on the gimbal goal of being world changers.
Yeah.
All right. So I have my Savage Worlds game next week. How often are we going to play?
Well, I would like to play again next week. I'd like to be roughly as close to weekly as possible if everybody can. But I mean, I'd also want to work around people's schedules. So, I know, like right now, everybody's in kind of a rough schedule situation, or at least some of us are. Like Tom doesn't get off work till about 7, unless they release him early. I know Charles, you've got stuff going on.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be late to every 7 o'clock session by like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
We could just role play that Tom is a narcoleptic and we're just dragging him everywhere.
But that's a good plan.
Well, what I assume, one of the things that I'll probably want to do at the start of every session is either if there's any downtime in between, talk about stuff that people would want to do. I also do have a bit of a like direct personal questions thing that I'll want to ask people. Is kind of like a reflection on where you're feeling you're at in the game. This is to go along with the assignment that each of you are going to have of doing hot seat questions at the start of every session together. It's not going to be as bad as hot seat was before. But there are still going to be questions that need to be answered as your character to each other. But the reflection stuff will be more on a like personal basis. So if you, like in your example, Tom, you said you might be a little worried that you might miss something that you might want to like watch. But that's where recording it and re-uploading it to YouTube will be handy. Like you can go back and you can like watch through the first little bit of anything that you might have missed and kind of catch up with it. But I've been wanting to kind of do like a bit of a reflective thing a little more often. And I mean, I've tried it a few times. It was kind of what the dream sequences thing I tried before was, and a few other of those like similar ideas. So I think that'll kind of work out as a nice way to give you like time to get back and to get a little bit more details into characters. And then when you show up, you'll kind of have the same time to do the same. We should be able to knock the hot seat questions out of the way and then move on to what the meat and potatoes of the game is. So Charles, your Savage Worlds game, how long does that go? When is that?
Well, we usually I wish I had been more clear. We usually play from 6 to 9, but it's like been only meeting like once a month.
Okay. So we can skip next week and do it the week after. I mean, that's not the end of the world.
Okay.
If a couple of you would like to like try to jump on here like at some point as well to try to do like another video chat thing just to work on maybe configuring some things or figuring out why certain things might not be working, we can try to do that as well in between there. That gives us a little extra time to maybe come up with some solutions. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. So just let me know like as they come up with their Savage Worlds times and we can work around that. I also will not be available. It's not likely I would be available on the second Sunday of every. I'm sorry, the first Sunday of every other month. So in April I won't be around. In June I won't be around. In August I won't be around, etc.
I just plan like a month at a time.
Yeah. Because I guess things can change. So.
Okay.
Okay, so 2 weeks from today, then. So the 24th.
Sounds wunderbar.
Cool. Let me just
You're making progress on your language, huh?
I'm showing off my language skills. I already speak 4.
List them for us.
What's that?
Just list them for us.
Oh, she speaks Goblin, Common, Gnome, and I forget what the other one was. But
I'll pull it up for you real
every
quick.
level, Yeah, every level I'm going to pick 2 more languages because I get them buy one, get one free.
Goblin, Common, Gnome, and Draconic.
So I've done this build before, and usually by about 5th or 6th level, I have a staggering number of languages.
Yeah, there's usually not much you can't read.
I only have 2.
Gotta tank linguistics ranks.
Maybe Meg can teach.
Well, I have comprehend languages, so I'm good.
Yeah, whatever. Weak sauce. Weak sauce.
I think I have that one too. Do I? I don't know.
I think so.
Oh no, I get it as a spell-like ability because of my gnome shit. So
What would comprehend languages be under? What category?
It's a spell.
Oh.
So if you go to your spells tab.
Oh, I was looking at the paper one, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, we may not have it on the paper one. I think we just put it on the digital one. Actually, it should be on the paper one. On maybe the back page or on the 3rd page.
Oh yeah, I do have comprehend languages.
All right, well, we need to wrap this up. So I look forward to talking to you guys again in 2 weeks. James, I will see you on Friday.
Thanks for the cookies, James.
Yep. Thank you.
Don't thank me. I'm not a Girl Scout.
Maybe next time.
all right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all on the flip.
Yep. Good night.
Yep.